Hi, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to discuss one of the 5 personality types in domestic abuse. This kind is called the everyday type or the cycle of violence type, which is more accurate. Remember, domestic abuse prevention begins with the person deciding not to be in this relationship and not to tolerate it and not to permit it. So that's the first and most important thing. But given that, the cycle of violence type is the most common type, and it's the kind that you hear about and watch on TV, where they get into an argument, it escalates, they blow up, there's tension, there's some kind of interaction, negative interaction, and then they make up, they'll never do it again, they are so sorry. And this is about punishment and redemption. So the cycle of violence type is typically a learned behavior, that this pattern was picked up by watching others, even babies a few months old hear yelling and screaming in the other room. They're already being preconditioned for this kind of behavior. Now, the cycle of violence type isn't inherently that dangerous by itself, but if it's associated with controlling personality types and sadistic types, that could be very dangerous. So typically, this type, there's a honeymoon period, they're so happy, they're together, everything's fine. One of them starts to have tension, starts to complain, starts to feel uncomfortable. It builds and builds and builds, which might take a day or it might take a month. And there's some kind of explosion. The most common explosion is actually after work in the evening between, believe it or not, between 5 and 10 p.m., Monday through Friday. And it usually happens in the kitchen or living area, like the TV room. And the explosion can be yelling and screaming, throwing dishes, crashing the car into the wall, all kinds of little things. But the issue is that this gets progressively more dangerous. In other words, in the beginning, there might be a little fight. And then it's characterized by, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. Will you take me back? And that's the whole reason for this is do you still love me? Will you take me back? No matter how bad I am, will you always take me back? So this is what this is about. So unfortunately, the cycle of violence type over the years builds and builds and builds. So in the beginning, it might be yelling and screaming, and then it might be throwing a phone against the wall, and then it might be destroying property, and then it might be crashing a car, and then it might be trying to run someone over, and then it might be pulling out knives, and then pulling out guns, and so forth. And the big question and the big motivation for the abuser is, will you take me back? Will you forgive me? So if you keep forgiving someone, this gets progressively more and more dangerous because they need more and more proof that you'll forgive them. And this, fortunately, can be cured through counseling and through understanding and self-awareness. So it's not inherently dangerous. But like I said, if it's associated with other types of behavior, it could result in death or really serious injury. And the good news is, even though this is very common, maybe 1 in 3 relationships experience this, it is learned behavior. And so the way that you stop this learned behavior is first not passing it on to children and others, and then also self-correcting and making adjustments and recognizing that you're in the syndrome of, will you take me back? Do you still love me? So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please contact us at info@netcheckpi.com. We're here to help you. Be safe, and thank you so much.